Today we are going to talk about Longinus in literary criticism. Nothing definite is known about his life and his nationality. Some says that he belongs to 3rd century and some of the opinion that he belongs to 1st century AD. This is a short introduction of Longinus, and let's probe into the area of concept of sublime. So the introduction of Longinus that the function of poetry was to instruct and delight. It was believed before Longinus, and the prose was to persuade. Longinus believed that the greatness of poets and prose writers lay in their sublimity. A sublime speech transports the readers out of himself and eclipses that which merely aims at the persuasion and the pleasure. So Longinus discovered the 5 principal sources of sublimity. The first one is grandeur of thought, the second one is capacity of strong emotions, third one is appropriate use of figures of speech, and the fourth one is nobility of diction, and the fifth one is dignified elaborated composition. The first two are natural gifts and the remaining three are the products of art. Now let's discuss these 5 aspects of sublime one by one. The first one is grandeur of thought. Sublimity is the echo of the great soul. A mean and ignoble person cannot soar to the great heights, says Longinus. The great accents fall from the lips of only those whose thoughts have always a deep and full of majesty, and majestic thoughts are innate but can also be acquired by constant dwelling on whatever is noble and sublime, and evaluating the examples of awardly great masters. Emphasizing the necessity of art and discipline, Longinus says it is a good for us and to have some idea in our minds as to how Homer might have expressed the same thought, how Plato would have raised it to the sublime. So Longinus gives several examples from Homer to illustrate sublimity of conception. So Longinus considers Odyssey is inferior to Iliad in matter of sublimity. Same Milton's Paradise Regained is inferior to Paradise Lost, and Wordsworth's later poems are lesser grand than his earlier ones. This is a grandeur of thought. The second aspect of sublime is capacity for strong emotions. Strong emotion make for sublimity, according to Longinus. However, he rules out base emotions such as fear, jealousy, and anger from the list of strong emotions. They are not true emotion, they are false emotions and do not sublimate the human mind. The third aspect of sublime is the appropriate use of figures of speech. Longinus holds that figures of speech contribute much to sublimity. In this connection, Longinus carefully examines the figures of speech, giving examples for each. The following figures of speech are examined by him in depth. The first one is rhetorical question. It is the kind of question that suggests its own answer, as in Julius Caesar, who is here. So base that would be a bondman, with his implied answer none. The second one in figure of speech is succession of question and answers. A rapid question and answer produces a sublime effect. The following from one of the works Brooke is an apt example for succession of question and answers. Is America in rebellion? Wales was hardly ever free from it. Have you attempted to govern America by penal statutes? You made 15 for Wales. The third one is apostrophe. An apostrophe is a direct question to a person, a thing, or an abstraction. We find such an apostrophe in Shelley's Ode to the West Wind and Keats to Autumn. An example is, thy pouting breast like a kettle drums of brass beat everlasting loud alarms of joy. The fourth one is Synecdon. In these figures of speech, connectives such as conjunction, preposition, and articles are omitted to indicate uninterpreted on rush of feelings. The next figure of speech is hyperbaton. This is an intentional inversion of the word order in order to make a point important. The next figure of speech is polysynecdon. In this figure of speech, more conjunction than are necessary are used to make a point important, as shown in the following passage. Let me read. We had to read Chaucer and Lidgate and Gower and Caxton and Langlad and Mallory and Skeleton. The conjunction and is used too many times to emphasize the heaviness of the curriculum. So next figures of speech is periphrasis. In this figures of speech, a roundabout language is used to describe something simple. In Othello, Desdemona is too delicate to mention a word whore, and so refers it to roundabout manner. So Desdemona asks, I am that name Iago. So Iago replies, what name, fair lady? So next, the fourth concept of Sublime is nobility of diction. Longinus turns his attention next to diction, which consists of proper choice of words and use of metaphor and ornamented words. Proper diction lends grandeur, beauty, mellowness, dignity, force, power, and glittering charm. Proper diction breathes voice into dead things. It is a very light of thought and illuminates the innermost recesses of writer's mind. Using a highly rich, flamboyant language to describe simple matters is not recommended by Longinus, as it would be putting a big mask on a child face. Of ornamentation, Longinus favors metaphor and hyperbole. Aristotle said that a writer must not use more than two metaphors at a time. Longinus does not impose any such restriction, and he says that when a writer is swept by a flood of passion, it is neither possible nor advisable for him to count the number of metaphors and limit himself to the two. So the last in Sublime concept is dignity of composition. Longinus finally discussed the arrangement of words. The fusion of thought, emotion, figures, and words result in sublimity and exalt the mind of readers. If any one of these four ingredients is deficient, is lacking, the result would be a deformity, not in sublimity. So it's like a spoiling a dish with an excess or shortage of one ingredient. So the conclusion is thus Longinus discusses various aspects of sublimity. It is unlucky or unfortunate that his treatise has come down to us only in bits and fragments. Thank you.